You are listening to the Nightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thank you so much for listening. Coming up, we check in on Tulsa. Kelly Hines of the Tulsa World will be here to give us a final thought on their football season and discuss their basketball season to date. Kelly will join us in just a few moments. Speaking of basketball, first let's take a look at the women's basketball standings. UCF leads the way in conference at 4-0, 12-2 overall. SMU at 3-0 in second place, 9-6 overall. Temple has 2-0 in conference, 7-6 overall. Tulsa 2-1, 12-2 overall. And South Florida, which was upset by UCF, but is still ranked. They are at 2-1 in conference, 12-5 overall. And speaking of the players of the week, as far as women's hoops goes, Tay Sanders, the UCF, as she was big in their crucial conference victories, averaging 20.5 points, 4 rebounds per game, and 57.7 shooting percentage from the field. She had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal in a win over Houston, and then 18 points, 3 boards, and a pair of steals in their big win over South Florida. Co-player of the week is Kayla White of SMU in a 2-game conference sweep, averaging 26.5 points, 5.5 rebounds per contest, at a season high in the conference of 34 points and 6 rebounds in their victory over East Carolina. 19-5 and hitting the tying and go-ahead shots in overtime as they beat Tulane. And the freshman of the week is Tamira Poindexter of Tulsa, had her first career double-double in their 71-59 win over East Carolina. Had 13 points, 10 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive glass in that particular victory. Turning to men's hoops. As you know, the Houston Cougars just keep it on, leading the conference standings at 5-0. They're 16-2 overall. What a great job they have done despite all of their injuries. SMU in second at 4-1, 13-4 overall. Tulane got off to a hard start. They're 4-2, 7-8 overall. At 3-2, Cincinnati and Temple in conference, and UCF and Memphis are at 3-3. The players of the week in men's hoops: Kyler Edwards of Houston, as the Cougars, shorthanded, managed to beat Tulsa on Saturday night, had a career-high 29 points, and played all but 8 seconds in that victory. 7 3-pointers he hit from the field while adding 3 assists. And the freshman of the week, Jaleel White of Temple, grabs another one of those honors. His first collegiate double-double, 11 points and 10 rebounds in their win at Tulsa. And he was 3 or 4 from the field in that particular contest. All right, we'll check in on Tulsa. Kelly Hines of the Tulsa World joins us when the AAC report comes back right after this.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Nightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
All right, my pleasure to welcome back to the podcast as we check in on Tulsa. Kelly Hines from the Tulsa World is back with us. Kelly, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's awesome to have you back. And before we talk about things on the hardwood, let's get your final assessment on the football campaign for the Golden Hurricane. Give me your thoughts on that.
I think it's so much about how you finish a season instead of how you start it. That's what kind of leaves the impact. And obviously Tulsa didn't start the season that well, going 1-4, but to win its last 4 games, and to win a bowl game, I thought that was really good progress. Just to see that sort of, the attitude of the team, the competitiveness throughout the year, but especially in the games late in the season that needed to be won, to make it to a bowl, that really just had a big impression on me, and it made it a fun season to cover when they're competing for something late in the year, and that obviously hasn't always been the case with Tulsa. So I thought it wound up being a good season, despite a start that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, well, yes, and it's hard to believe that we're already in the midst of college basketball season and conference play. Right now, Tulsa 6-9 overall, but 0-4 in the conference. But that 0-4 is a little deceiving when you look at the contest that they've played, with narrow losses to Tulsa, to Memphis, to Temple, and most recently this past Saturday in a wild game against Houston.
Yeah, I mean, all 4 of those losses have been by 5 points or fewer. All 4 of those, Tulsa's fallen behind by double digits, and then, come back to either, get very close to taking the lead or taking the lead, and just not being able to make the winning plays in the last couple of minutes. So it's been disappointing because this team really isn't that far off from being successful, just has not been able to get over the hump. And I think it's just the league is really good, and unless you have those winning plays late in a game, you could lose. I think we're seeing that across the league. So really came close to especially in the Houston game. Obviously Houston's a really good team, and to come up short, miss a late shot in that game that could have sent it to overtime. That's painful, but I feel like there's still some things that you can point to that show, this team has some potential. It just needs to get over that hump and then maybe go on a bit of a run. I don't think that's out of the question.
Yeah. So what do you think is attributing to the slow starts?
I think just having a sort of, up in the air type rotation, it's just been hard to figure out who the main guys are and just have consistent production from them. I really thought that Keyshawn Embry-Simpson was going to be a go-to guy this year, and he, hasn't really had that type of year, and now he's out for the rest of the season because of academics. So, you just have those sorts of things happen, and you're not really able to gain traction. And you have a freshman point guard, Anthony Pritchard, who I really, really like. I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats, but he's still a freshman, and I think anytime you have that kind of inexperience in a key role, you're just going to, have some growing pains, not from him, but just, across the board. So I feel like it's just still a work in progress because you just do not have consistency. The rotations have been kind of all over the place, trying to find different things to, see what works and what doesn't work. And it's the middle of the season and you still don't have those things figured out.
Tell me about the play of Jariah Horn, who, of course, had transferred out and has transferred back from Colorado, leading the team in scoring and in rebounding.
I am such a Jariah Horn fan. I mean, for him to come back and just say, I needed that year away to grow up. I just am so impressed with him and how he carries himself. But, it's a big assignment to take on the scoring load just about every night. And he can score at every level. He's very versatile, but that's still a lot of pressure. And you see him, he can be so clutch at times, but other times you feel like, maybe he's forcing things. He's trying to get into a rhythm and it's not there. He's very much the type to score, 18 points in a half and maybe have 2 or 4 points in the other half. It's very difficult when you're obviously the best player on the team and defenses are like, okay, we got to figure out this guy. I think that's just very difficult because you take away him and the options become very limited offensively for Tulsa. So, I feel like he's handled that pressure and those expectations really well because, this is his bonus year. He wanted to just enjoy this year and be reunited with some of his former teammates. But it's hard to just enjoy a season when the schedule has been difficult and the wins haven't been there. But I just really like how he continues to carry himself. And I think they will get some wins, but it's just been a difficult road to this point.
And, talk about shouldering the load. He's leading the team in minutes, averaging 34 a game. And then you look at what he's doing, 40% from three-point range, 81% from the free throw line. I mean, just everything they're getting out of him is golden.
Yeah, and he's just one of those guys who has consistently improved throughout his college career, despite being at, 3 schools and, 3 different conferences. I feel like he's taken something from each stop, and especially to see his growth, from the last couple of years. You went to a different school and had success there, and then you come back here and it's a lot of it's different assistants and a lot of different players from whenever he was here before, but he's really just taken everything in stride, and I've just continued to be impressed with how he's he wants to get better. He's obviously the best player on the team, but and he brings so much to the table, but he has just consistently shown like a willingness to like do whatever it takes. And I can't imagine what this team would look like if he hadn't come back, and same with Sam Griffin. I mean, Sam Griffin is the second leading scorer. Well, they kind of go back and forth in terms of scoring. It depends on what they've done recently, but both those guys were not on the team last year, and worked out obviously for both of them to be playing this season. But this team without those 2 guys would look completely different. So even though the results haven't been there, those 2 guys, those are the primary scorers every single night.
And then look at looking at just like the most upcoming schedule, if you will, the current games on the schedule. Got Cincinnati playing tomorrow. Rematch with Memphis, Tulane, which has been a little bit of a surprise so far in conference this year. In South Florida, a team that managed to rout in-state rival UCF this past weekend. So it doesn't really get a whole lot easier from here.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I remember when the schedule came out and I was looking at January because, there have been some years at Tulsa when Frank Case's teams have gotten on a roll in January, and that's when they've really started to come together. And I remember looking at the January schedule and being like, oh my gosh, you have Memphis twice, your only game against Houston in January. I mean, really, it's just, it's a difficult month, but then even from there, it doesn't really get much easier. It's just crazy to look at all of the, all the games in league play and then to look at the standings and Wichita State, which is we all know is a really good team, and that's a team that hasn't won a conference game either. So, I just feel like it's going to be a very hard road If you don't have that mentality that you can go in, some place on the road and steal one, or if you can't defend your home court, I just feel like it's going to be a long season if you can't get it together.
Yeah, in looking at the conference, what do you make of things? I mean, obviously Houston, was going to be the favorite no matter what, and they're 5-0 in conference, 16-2 overall. SMU is up there at 4-1, and they've got a really solid ball club. You look at Cincinnati and Temple and UCF, Memphis, kind of like that middle of the pack. East Carolina's played and very much improved. It was probably thought early in the season that this could be a potential 3 or 4 bid league, but it might be cannibalizing itself again.
I know, and that's what I hate. I hate that when that happens to the American, because I'm like, no, that's how good this league is. That the teams near the bottom could beat the teams at the top. Like, the league shouldn't be punished for that, but that's just, I feel like it's going to be one of those years. And I just feel like so many people nationally look at what Memphis does, and if Memphis is struggling, they're like, oh, they're just going to count out the whole league. And I don't think that that's fair, because you mentioned SMU. I feel like that's one of the most solid teams I've seen all season. Really impressed with that team. Obviously, Houston, even with injuries and whatever they have going on, they're always going to be so difficult for anyone to beat. Cincinnati's always very tough. Temple, I was impressed with them when I saw them last week. And, Tulane, I mean, you can just go down the list. There are just so many good teams, really good coaches, really good players. And I enjoy seeing, the conference games, that even when, they don't involve Tulsa, I just really enjoy watching as many as possible, because this league, I feel like, even to this point, is still so underrated. Yeah,
it really is a shame when you look at that, because I've kind of maintained that they're up there above that quote unquote mid-major line, yeah. And it is tough that it doesn't get the respect. And you look at all these teams that you've mentioned, a lot of them have coaches that have stability. They've been around several years. So it really is a fight night in and night out, no matter who you play.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff nonetheless. So what do you think as we head towards the back end of the month and going into February? What do you think Tulsa's chances are?
I just feel like you're going to have to go on a run, and you really need to generate some momentum. I know how difficult that is, because the schedule isn't really set up for that. But, you've lost 4 in a row, and you've been in all of those games, but I just know that your confidence level is down because you weren't able to make, some of the plays that you needed to make late in those games. So, I mean, I feel like if you can just get a big win here at any point, maybe you could go on a bit of a run. Because Frank's teams have done that pretty consistently during his time at Tulsa. The seasons that have been good, I mean, they've won 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row in conference play. And then, you put yourself in a much better situation. Maybe it's going to be difficult, obviously, to move from 0-4 to the top half of the league. But, it's unpredictable. If you can really just get some things going for you, I think that it's possible to get in that upper half, and then maybe have a chance to compete for a bye for the conference tournament. And then you're in a much better spot, because I feel like, it's going to be a little bit more wide open once, we get to Fort Worth and see, how the field is. If you have a first round bye, then, I feel like it's anybody's ball game from there.
And of course, even though this is an AAC show, I know you also cover Oral Roberts. And how much of a treat is it to watch Max Asmus on a regular basis?
I mean, what Max Asmus does, it's so crazy that it's kind of like watching Steph Curry. You're like, oh yeah, he hit that. You're just so unaffected by it. You're like, yeah, that's what he does. You just expect it at this point. He's just such a joy to watch, because he has that confidence in himself that is very rare. like live up to, the expectations that you have for yourself. I mean, he's called mid-court max for a reason. His range is absolutely crazy, but he makes other plays other than the long threes. He attacks the rim. He's very tough. He's a gritty player. He had 11 assists in a game recently. He does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet, but I just really enjoy watching him play because he's just so savvy and just a really likable person too. So he's been really fun to kind of get to know. And Oral Roberts, they're in a tough league too, in the Summit League, and it's a little bit different for them because they know they have to win their conference tournament to make it back to the NCAA tournament. But they play a difficult schedule, and then if you make the tournament, that you can win some games because you're prepared for it, like they were last year. Obviously, that was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime type season, but they had generated so much belief in themselves from what they'd done during the regular season that they thought they could, shock the world, and they did. So it's been fun to kind of see how they play. It's a very different style from Tulsa, so it's kind of going back and forth between the two. It's been fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know you mentioned like some Steph Curry comparison with his range. Is a John Morant comparison somewhat applicable here?
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's a special player. So glad you get to enjoy that as well. And of course, the audience has missed our cat conversations, which we had before going on the air. So I've got 2 new ones in the house, and Kelly, of course, does a lot for rescues and fostering and helping TNR and all that good stuff. So it's always great that you do that. And in addition to that busy sports life that you live, you sleep about what, 2-3 hours? Is that about it?
Oh yeah, a few more than that. I try to squeeze a little bit more out of it, but I really enjoyed like trying to find that balance, of that whenever I am too worn out with work, I have this other thing I can go to, and I'm worn out from animal rescue, which is very stressful. I can just go cover a basketball game, and it's kind of relaxing in comparison. So I like having both of those things in my life, although it can be difficult to sometimes find the time for it. But I enjoy both pretty much equally, and it's one's a distraction from the other and vice versa.
And the great things are always worth it when it comes down to it.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kelly, as always, we appreciate your time. Please let the folks know where they can follow you and your work.
Yeah, TulsaWorld.com is a great place to start. I'm also on Twitter, Kelly Hines TW.
Outstanding. Kelly, once again, we appreciate your time.
Anytime.
And we're back with some final news and notes right after this.
If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Nightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up the menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
All right, let's check in on some other news and notes. Honors in women's swimming and diving. Electra Level of SMU had 4 solo first place wins in dual sweep meets at North Texas and against and conference foe Tulane. Level won the 200 backstroke with a time of 2:04.07 and the 1650 freestyle in 1654.22 for the 7th fastest showing of the season in the conference at the North Texas meet, and then added gold medal swims in the 500 freestyle with a time of 5:03.44 and the 400 individual melody 4:25.68, and that was a top 20 swim in the conference this season against Tulane. The women's diving athlete of the week is Nicole Stambo of SMU. Had 2 event victory and 3 NCAA zone scores in those dual victories. She was the winner of the 1 meter board with a score of 307.20 and added a runner-up 3 meter score of 321.05, both NCAA zone scores in the meet against North Texas, and then the other zone score 284.85 in the 3 meter event against Tulane. And turning to track and field, the men's track athlete of the week, Sean Mwasanganai of Houston, had a successful season debut 200-meter dash at the Leonard Hilton Memorial. Crossed the finish line at a time of 21.20 to post the fastest time in the event in the conference this season and the 14th best showing in the nation as of January 18th. The men's field athlete of the week is Romain Beckford of South Florida. He had a solid performance in the high jump during his first start at South Florida at the Commodore Invitational. He cleared 2.16 meters to win the event with the best conference mark of the year, ranking 8th in the NCAA as of January 18th. The women's track athlete of the week, Latosha Smith of UCF in the 400-meter dash. She logged a time of 53.16 to take the gold medal as the fastest athlete in the conference in that distance this season and 3rd in the NCAA as of January 18th. And Priscilla Adjacone of Houston, the field athlete of the week, had the best throw in the weight throw during the Leonard Hilton Memorial, covered 21.76 meters on her 6th and final attempt to take the event win, and ranks 1st in the weight throw in the American this season, 5th overall in the NCAA as of January 18th. And that'll do it for this week's show. As always, please follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88, and you can follow the Nightline Sports Network at UCF_Nightlines. This has been the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.